Hey, welcome to this featured member interview. We've got Maura here, who's an absolute rock star. She's smashing it, and she's going to be sharing some stuff that she's doing right now, which is pretty amazing given the current climate. So just for those of you who are watching, Maura, before working with me, was pretty successful, but she hit a plateau. She did 4 deals, made 480K in profit with a 60K a year income. She did that by leveraging the main residence in her house, but she got to a sticking point, came and worked with us, got unstuck. She's now got 5-6 deals in her pipeline. She's raised 180 grand in private funds, and she's got more investors lined up to fund her deals. So let's dive into this. So Maura, tell us about the deals that you did beforehand. What was you doing before we met, and you kind of got into property? So just give us a little bit about your background in a minute or so.
So I work full time for the local government. I had a buy-to-let a property that I bought in 2006. I then started to rent it out, and I thought, this is a load of crap. I was earning about 50 quid a month off my buy-to-let, and for years I didn't really do anything, but I just thought, oh, it'd be my pension. And then one day I kind of woke up, me and Dave were talking, and I said, I've always fancied to do property development. I had a look at it, and all of a sudden I realised I had like a 120K equity in my buy-to-let. So that's kind of how we started off doing PM renovations. I then went on, we bought a property at auction, which was a short lease property, and negotiated with the freeholder and etc., which I can tell you a bit more later. We then decided from a 1-bedroom flat to go on to a HMO, which I really didn't want to do, but Dave kept telling me it'd be a great cash flow and we should look at it. So we found a derelict property, and that time I leveraged against my own home, which I owned outright as well, again, because of the funding and stuff. We didn't take any development finance. We just used the money that we'd recycled at the first project. And then I thought to myself, right, if I can do that with one project and leverage my house, why am I not doing it with 2? So the next project we did which was with a 1-bedroom flat and another house. I bridged against my own sort of home as leverage and did 2 houses during COVID. Well, a house and a flat during the COVID, and we completed them at when was it, about July last year, and they're all rented out, and one was turned into a HMO. Again, we did like lofts, etc., and the other one was a complete refurb, which we made into a minimo. So it was like a 1-bedroom flat, but because of the size, we were able to make it into a 2-room sort of HMO, share your kitchen, and bathroom area. So that's kind of where we got to on our own. But we got to the point we were kind of running out of money, and what do we do now? And do I keep using my house as leverage, and what do I do going forward? So that's where I got to before we kind of met. I went on we thought that we'd like to do sort of developments and stuff. So we did go on a mastermind. We did a 3-day weekend and thought it was great and rushed to the back of the room to sign up for the mastermind, and then kind of realised, we found a site, and luckily before we exchanged, I went and got someone to have a look at the site, which was a garage we were going to convert into like a house. But the downstairs, the garage would have been like single floor and basement. So when we looked at it and I got someone to quote me for the price of the basement, I realised the deal wasn't going to work. Mm-hmm. And I also realised that if I'd done it, I might have lost my house. Wow. So luckily for us at the time, we kind of pulled out of that, and we carried on doing, then we went on and did the other deals with the 2 properties that we did at the end. But it kind of, at that point, and I remember saying to the mentors at that time, you're telling me that the deals, find the deals and the investors will come. But I kept saying, I don't have the confidence, I don't have the negotiation skills. And I kept saying, I can't negotiate. I don't know how to talk to people. And if I can't do that, and if I don't believe in myself, who the hell is going to give me money? So that's kind of where we got to when we met you at one of the property meets over in Croydon. And it kind of, that was it kind of thing. So that's where we started to talk.
Absolutely. So you did, from memory, you didn't stay on that mastermind for a full term. You decide it wasn't the right thing for you. There's a lot of things that was said that you can go and do. It's made to sound easy, but the reality was there was a whole lot of other little distinctions and things that you need that make a big difference. Having the confidence, knowing what to say, knowing how to negotiate, having the right mindset, and so forth.
This mastermind, we actually went once a month, obviously, because of the distance. Sometimes we'd stay, whatever have you. We would go once a month, and you would send emails, no one replied to you. You tried to make contact, you'd ask questions, and it was like we all sat in a room around together, talking to each other. So yes, you learn off each other, but we weren't able to do progress because, you know, you can give me some of the skills, which is, you know, how build cost works and how to work out the valuations, etc., or how to find what systems to use, which I use like Nimbus and stuff myself now to look for land and deals and properties, whatever have you. But so it gave me some of the tools, but it didn't actually help me for, I found a deal, now what do I do? Or how do I actually know a deal is a good deal and not a bum deal? And the thing is, if you're not getting the support from anyone and you haven't got, you know, you're waiting a whole month, a lot can happen in a month, you know, and for the amount of money that we were paying, I didn't feel I was getting the support and feedback that I should have got at the time. So when I could pull out, which is 3 months minimum, we pulled out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's a difficult thing. Sometimes if you've got a deal in front of you, you can't wait a month or 2 months or three, however, you know, whatever it is until you get to your mentor. You need the kind of support then and there. So we met, you decided to come into the academy, which was, I think
it wasn't straight away though, if you
no, it
remember.
wasn't actually. It wasn't straight away. It was a little while afterwards.
I was very hard work.
It?
Because of what had happened, I suppose, in
Yep.
the background, I was scared to spending out any more money. So, and I think it did take us a while before I thought, yeah, I kind of trust this guy. It might be different. So, and, you know, you were actually offering something different than other people. It wasn't about the property. I could find deals. I knew how to bridge stuff. I'd kind of read all that and done all that myself. But what I didn't know was the mindset stuff and stuff that I used to think was mumbo jumbo rubbish. And I'll be honest, you know, I was one of them people, things happened in the past, put it in a box, put it over there and move on. And, you know, I was very kind of focused. If I wanted to driven, you know, in work and everything, no one could take that away from me. Personal life and everything could have been a mess, but going to work, no one could take that away. And for me, that's how I'd always done everything. So if other things had happened that I didn't want to deal with, or, you know, it went in a box and I forgot about it. So, but you made me unpick all that. Thanks.
which I did make you unpick all it. We'll dive into that in a little bit because it wasn't an easy process. But you've mentioned something here that's really important. A lot of people go out and do property. They do it first time round. They don't quite get the results. And they sometimes go, oh, I'm not sure about this. I've had my fingers burned. Or maybe it's not for me. It didn't work last time round. But the key thing is they don't know what is actually missing. People sometimes don't know what's missing, which is what's very different about the academy and what we do here. So when you eventually did, you know, trust me and realize that we had something different, and it's a privilege, by the way, so I'm honored that you trusted me. You came into the academy, you started to work. What were some of the biggest things that you learned? Like, what were some of the kind of things that you learned that were the difference that made the difference?
You actually had to dig deep inside yourself, and you had to understand and unpick what was holding you back. You know, I could have said all along, oh, I can't do that, and that's it. But there was something in it, one, you know, that would spur me on. And, you know, I think the more you unpicked stuff and looked at things and realized things in your past, trauma or ex-partners or parents or friends, whatever it was, you had to unpick it and try and understand why did certain things happen in life. And if I don't want the same pattern to stop me now, what do I need to do differently? And I think from once I kind of understood that and learned quite a lot, I was probably more at peace then with myself and understanding what was making me tick, if that makes sense, and what was stopping me. Because I always did feel I wasn't good enough. You know, I knew I wasn't stupid, But, you know, you might have had people around me telling me, you know, well, I was 19 when I fell pregnant with my daughter, you know, oh, you're the stupid one, you're the one with the baby. I went off and did a degree because of that, you know. So it was kind of like I would always try to prove everyone wrong. But now I look at it and say, well, why was I doing what I was doing? And why did I think I could only go so far? And now I don't have the barriers that I had before. So the barriers is, you know, they're gone. And actually, I can do anything I bloody want. And I don't care.
Lovely.
And that is really, you know, and Dave has been a big help because he's one of them people as well. He will always say, nothing cannot be got over. You know, everything is get overable. We can do whatever we want. And having someone working with me like that as a partner as well made me realize, you know what, we can bloody do anything, which I never felt before. So it was having the support sort of the community, people in the community talking to you, and having a partner that was communicating. It kind of made everything click into place, if that made sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, for anyone who's watching the video, one of the things that we have inside the academy is my process. It's my methodology. It's called the Code of Reaching Excellence. And what I teach in there is the 4 phases of implementation that people go through. The first phase is called the euphoria phase, which is where you go to a mastermind or you decide to do property or some kind of business strategy, and you're euphoric, you're buzzed up, you're like, great, I'm going to run to the back of the room. Let me get my credit card and my purse out. Let's pay for it. You get to that and you get this full sense of achievement because you believe that you can do it. You then go to the next phase, which is called the epiphany phase, where you realize, oh, shoot, this is way harder. I don't know this. I don't know that. I don't know how to do all these other things. And that's where we experience the resistance. And the resistance is things like the lack of confidence, you know, that negative voice in our head, doubt, feeling out of our comfort zone. So if we're lucky, we feel uncomfortable, but sometimes it can even be painful being out of your comfort zone because we are, you know, we're in a situation where in our working careers or the businesses, we're top of our game. We know what we're doing. We're now at the bottom of a learning curve again. And it brings all this stuff up. It brings up all the fear, all the insecurities, all the self-doubt.
Syndrome was, I think, a big thing for me where I didn't think I was good enough. And I remember going to a dinner dance once with Dave and he put me, you know, in between 2 blokes I didn't know. And I'm like, what are you doing? And I'm a very chatty person if I know people. If I don't know you, I'm sitting there like quiet as a church mouse, which I know you won't believe. But, you know, and he put me there. And at the end of the night, I ended up talking to these blokes about property and everything else because I came into my own. But it's about being put out your comfort zone. So Dave will do it to me and so will you do it to me, where you just go, get on and do it. There you go. You know, and you do need that little push where someone will push you in the right way to understand why you're doing what you're doing, you know?
Absolutely. And this is one of the things that we do. This is one of the things that's different about the academy. It's understanding what is causing the resistance in the first place, what's causing the blocks, what's causing the imposter syndrome. Because unless we overcome that stuff, and normally that's deep mindset stuff, it's our belief system, it's the painful experiences that we've had in the past, it's the trauma, it's the upbringing. We'll only ever get as far as our belief system. So just getting out your comfort zone, okay, that's one thing, you're going to be out your comfort zone. But actually, we need to do that inner work. Otherwise, what's going to happen is when we're out of our comfort zone, we're going to want to go back to what is or what feels comfortable. So, you know, this is part of obviously what we do. But
and we did have that phase with me, I think, at one time where I sort of, I think I even spoke to you and I went, someone came and talked to me about being a consultant and going back and doing what I knew what to do, you know, because I used to do performance stuff and reports and stuff for social care. And it was kind of like, do I go back and write programs and fix systems and do what I know, systems analysis stuff, or do I hang it out? And I think at that point I did hit a bit of a rock bottom where I was like, why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I, you know, the projects are going along, I haven't got loads of money, you know, what the hell have I done? Because I gave up, you know, I took voluntary redundancy in the February and then we had COVID and it was sort of like, do I just go back to what I know or do I just carry on? So,
yeah.
And that's where I got to at Christmas time, I think.
Absolutely. And it happens for a lot of people because we, you know, unless we learn how to deal with the uncertainty and also deal with being out of our comfort zone, which apart from what we do inside the academy, most people don't know how to handle that. Most mentors don't know how to teach that, but it's essential if you want to move forwards because people will experience a crisis of confidence. And if you don't know, number one, it's normal, this happens, and you haven't got the tools and the right support to navigate it, most people would have gone back to their job or their business or whatever. And you can apply this to any context of your life. It's getting out of your comfort zone. So you had the support there, and you mentioned earlier on the first mastermind you went on, there wasn't the support. What's the difference in the support that you have inside the academy? How did that make a difference for you?
I think it's because we had a lot smaller group. We talked about property, etc., but a lot of the stuff was about mindset, what we're doing. We kind of more of a community and like a friendship group, because property can kind of be lonely. Yeah. If you're just meeting someone once a month, you don't get to know them. But we talk like every week, probably twice a week, and with some of the guys, I talk to them every day, and I think what happened sort of at Christmas time, I remember talking to Nisha and Jazz, and I just sort of said, do you know what? Actors' job is actually not to hold our hands and take us through all of this. We've got to do it, and I think that was my light bulb moment where I goes, what am I waiting for? We've done the emotional stuff. We've done the stuff where, I've now got this belief I can actually do it. It's not actors' job to hold me, by the hand and say, Maura, this is the deal. This is the. And I just went, do you know what? No one's going to do it for me. Get on and do it. And all of a sudden, it just went bang like that, where all of these deals started to come in because something obviously changed in me and my mindset with it.
Absolutely. And that was a real pivotal moment for you. And yeah, I will hold people's hands when they need it, especially when you go through that discomfort and that, because that's a very uncomfortable and sometimes a painful and lonely place to go. And when people go through that, which if you come into the academy and you do your work, you are going to go through some emotional discomfort when you get out of your comfort zone. But people need to know that that's okay. So there's a level of hand holding, but you got to a point where you took ownership and responsibility and thought,
yeah, because I'm going, well, I haven't got any other deals since I joined this course, and I could have just said, well, this course is just like every other course and blah 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 blah. But then I just went, hang on a minute, it's not his job to go and find me a deal and do the work for me. That's my job. And I think once I kind of realized, actually, this whole thing was not what I thought it was, if that makes sense. Because in the beginning, you think, oh, it's all property, it's this, that. But once you realize, actually, it's all about changing your mindset and what you do and how you go forward, that's when everything kind of falls into place and changes for you.
Absolutely. So why, and people watching this, why do we change our mindset? Well, your mindset is the operating system of your mind. It's like, you can't download an app from 2021 and put it onto Windows 95. This is why we have to do some of that deeper inner work we need to do and change our mindset, because we've all got old, outdated thoughts, patterns, beliefs that they would have served us at one point in the past. They just don't serve us for us to get to that next stage in our life. If we want to level up our business, we want to level up our life, we have to change our belief system, because we'll only ever get as far as our beliefs will allow us to take us. So if you want to change your results,
and people around you as well. So I think that was a huge difference. And people say, your network is, the 5 people you're around, etc. And it is so true, because, I've got friends and I love my friends, that I've had for years and everything, but no one actually knew what I was doing, or no one understood what I was doing or got it. I don't know anyone that's done what me and Dave are doing. I don't know anyone. So I have no one to go and ask locally that I know. So having the community, we can bounce the ideas and we don't feel silly, or are we doing, is it pie in the sky what we're thinking and it doesn't happen to people like, me. But, we were able to talk to each other and, talk to the other members. And you kind of then realize, well, actually, we can all do it. And we kind of support each other, which my friends wouldn't be able to do because they don't have the interest in property, or they don't, everybody's different. And I know that from managing people for over the years, that you have people that want to do 9 to 5 and go in and come out, but yeah.
Absolutely. And also you need to be around the right kind of people who understand mindset, and also what the stuff that we go through. So pretty much everyone who's coming to the academy has gone through this level of discomfort, or they've gone through doing their inner work. You're either smashing it on the outside externally, or you're slaying the dragon, you're slaying those demons on the inside. So that's kind of like a really important part of the process. So you've got to that point, you shifted, you did that stuff, you had that kind of big epiphany, you kind of grabbed the bull by the horn, so to speak. Let's talk about the deals that you've done, because you've got quite an amazing pipeline right now. and in that kind of crisis of confidence that you went through, you hit that rock bottom point, kind of spat your dummy out a little bit. this is another master. You've gone from that to being in a really, really empowered place. And by the way, we all go, when we get to a place of discomfort, we all do that. We all go to that place of like, this isn't working. We go into that kind of poor me place. And we all do it. And I've done it myself. Okay. So you've gone from that place of being rock bottom to being in this really empowered place right now. So let's talk about what you're doing right now, because you've got quite a cool deal pipeline and you've carved out this really wonderful niche for yourself. So much so, I think I start calling you Shortlease Mora or Mora Shortlease Walsh, it's your kind of middle name. Or I think this morning on a call we had, it was like calling you more, more for Mora, because you've got these deals coming in and you've got this wonderful pipeline of deals coming in. You've carved out this niche and you've got an investor pipeline of people bringing in money. So talk us through like how you've carved this niche out and talk us through the deals that you got through the pipeline. And I know you've got some slides and stuff that you might want to show. So if you want to bring them up, we can bring them up too. Yeah.
I'll do. Can you see?
Not yet, but I'm sure it'll come up in a second.
No, yes.
There we go.
So that's me.
That's your company, yeah.
Yeah. Let me just go up to the beginning. So what I've kind of I don't know how I got into this. I do kind of know. So what happened with the short leases? I think it was the first deal that we done. So the first deal we done was a short lease. It was an auction property that we found. And that's how I found out about short leases. And I probably could have got my fingers quite burnt on this, but, because I didn't know anything about short leases. But obviously once I've run up to Savills and paid my money down, I had a month to find out about them and what I had to do. So so what kind of happened is, I don't know, so with regards to short leases, as you might know, that you have in English law, we have something that's quite quirky, which is a system that international buyers, investors and untrade property people don't actually really understand. And it's a great little niche. And so what I've been actually doing, and my next few deals are all about leasehold properties. So when you buy a property, and I probably can skip a couple of these, but when you buy a property, you'll normally find that they've got like 125 or 99-year leases. And the usual residential buyer or the home buyer will, buy properties that have longer leases. Now, once the lease starts to tick down, the value of the lease or the property loses its value, and the value goes over to the freeholder, the person that owns the land. Because when you own the leasehold, you only actually own the inside of the building. You don't own the bricks of the building or the land. You just own the contents inside of it. So what usually happens is if a normal home buyer goes to buy a property, their solicitor will tell them, this has got a short lease, this, that, and the other, don't buy it, or words to that effect, or you've got a lot of work to do and there's issues, etc., etc. So it kind of cuts off straight away half your market. So this is what I knew from doing the first deal. So as I say, the majority of flats and some of the properties in the UK are leaseholds, and anything that's under 80 years, normal high street lenders start to have problems lending on short leases, and you end up having issues then again with finding leaseholders, or you'd have to buy a cash buyer. So, but if you do find a property which has lower lease, you have plus sides as well. So I'm going to just shift on a little bit. So here we go. So should you buy a property which is a short lease? So you do it with caution. If the property has short lease and it has less than 80 years to run, what actually happens is the marriage value starts to come in, as I mentioned a minute ago. The freeholder will now start to get some of your value. So what happens in essence is anything under 80 years, the freeholder will get 50% of the value. So for argument, if a property is worth 200,000, but with the short lease, it's only worth 100,000. When you do the lease extension, depending obviously on the ground rent, etc., etc., the freeholder will be looking at something like 50,000. So straight away, that's knocking out half the market, because a lot of investors, I'm guessing, they want to just do refurbs, turn them over, pull the value in and move on. Leaseholds can be a little bit trickier and take a little bit time if you don't do things right before you complete.
Yeah.
And what you'll find is a lot of these properties will be shown as cash purchases or short leases on Zoopla, etc. So what you'll have to, you know, as I said, it reduces in value. So to find a short lease, you can put it in your terms when you're looking for your sale, and actually there should be a key word there where you just type in short lease or you type in cash, and they will start to show you where the short leases or the problems are. What you will realize is estate agents do not understand short leases. They have not got a clue. I have, in the past 2-3 months, had to put together a document in emails to actually explain to vendors and the estate agents how a short lease process works, how the whole process works of buying a short lease, and they just didn't get it. So what they will do is tell people it's a cash purchase. So how many people do you know that will have £250,000 in the bank just to go and buy a flat? Not many. So you're cutting out a lot of the market there. So that's kind of how I started to do it. So now that we found the short lease, I'll just go through some more of the slides that I've done. So here we go. So you have to look at, when you're looking at the data, you look at the ground rent, you look at the years remaining and the end value on the comparable. So like I said, if the property with a long lease is worth 200, at the moment it's worth 100, but depending on the ground rent and the years remaining, you're looking at anything between sort of, I don't know, 10,000 to 50,000 to pay the freeholder. Now, freeholders play games. So when you first put in your lease extension request, you have to be in a position where you either own the property for over 2 years, you have to be a qualifying tenant, they call it, or you have to get the seller to sign the right over to you so that you can carry it on and not have to wait 2 years. Now, what usually happens, and it happened with me when I first met my first freeholder, who he came back and he said, yeah, you can buy it. I want 75,000. I was like, hang on a minute, 75,000, are you sure? To extend my lease, because he knew I've bought it on a bridge. I need to do something quick. I haven't got 2 years. I managed, luckily, to get the executor of the property to sign it over to me, so I knew I could go through that process. And worst ways, it'd have to go to a tribunal, you know, because the process that you go, that I have a month, I send it over to the freeholder, they have a month to come back to me, and you then got 6 months to squabble upon, you know, and decide on a value. And if you can't decide on a value, it then goes to a tribunal. So you are looking that, first of all, you need 2 years to qualify, and then a 3rd year to sort out the cost. Or you could be lucky and find a freeholder that will say, yeah, have it for this, whatever. So that's the kind of bones of what a lease extension and what you do.
There's a problem in that for most people, which is why, excuse me, estate agents don't understand it. A lot of people get put off by it because they don't understand the process. The first property you bought was at auction. That's why it was in the auction in the first place, because the short lease and the complexities of it. But you know this stuff. You've done a few of these now, and you know how to work this through. And you've done some interesting stuff with properties that you've looked at. I know you drove all the way down to Somerset to meet a freeholder. Just tell us a little bit about that.
So what we ended up doing, and what I do, is obviously I go through the process where I look for short leases and cash sales. So once I've done that and I've looked, I've got my list, I'll go and look at the property and then work out what should be the lease extension. You know, can I find the freeholder? Because then you've got a whole other issue if the leaseholder is sorry, the freeholder's missing, because
Yeah.
then you've got to go through vesting orders and everything else, which again can take a couple of years. So this particular deal, I actually wrote, it was down as being a cash purchase. It was a 1-bedroom flat in Shortlands, right by the station, with the lease extension, etc., being done and sorted. The property would be worth a minimum of 290,000. Now they had it up for 230. I went and put in an offer ages ago, never heard anything, went back again. I then did some background work, found out who the freeholder was, and thought, right, does he live there? So I found out where he was. I looked on the title deeds, found his name and address, and then I went and looked at the title deeds of the address where he was last known, because what I don't want is have an absent freeholder.
Mm-hmm.
So then what I thought was, right, okay, I'm going to take the off chance, and we've done it with other projects where we've just gone and knocked on someone's house. This particular chap, we knocked on his house, he didn't answer after driving like 4 hours to Somerset. But then what we did was we knocked on the neighbours. We knew that he then lived there, so it was just unlucky Sunday afternoon he's gone out somewhere. So but what I did do was leave a note, and I gave him my number, etc., left him a note, and about a week later I got a letter back from him saying, thank you for your note, your letter. I understand that the property is up for sale. If you qualify, I'm agreeable to do a statutory process, which is the Section 42. So I then knew, okay, we've got someone that might be willing to play ball here, and that we're going to have a process which shouldn't be too painful. So that's kind of where we got to. I then went back to the sellers, which was it's 3 sons, because the father had passed away, so it was a probate as well. And what I did was I explained the whole process. I said, look, you are not going to find a buyer that is going to buy this property, because they were refusing to sign the Section 42 as well, which would mean I would have to wait 2 years. So I said, look, you're not going to find an investor that's going to put in 235,000 and hold it here for 2 years so that they qualify for a lease extension, and at that point then go through the process to renew it, because you're asking an investor to hold their money for nearly 3 years in one deal. No investor will do that. This is why your property has been on the market for the length of time. I am willing to buy it for 200 if you allow me to, you know, if you sign the Section 42 and then assign it over to me. I will pay for the valuation to come, you know, an independent surveyor to come out, who's going tomorrow, funny enough, and I will pay for them. Whatever they say it is, my solicitor will tell you exactly what needs to be there. We'll hand you the letter, you hand it off, send it off to the freeholder. Then what you will do is assign your right over to me, and I can carry on the process of extending the lease. And obviously then what I will do is buy it on a bridge, and then I will be able to sort the lease out, tidy up the flat, and remortgage it again. So that's that particular one. So that's one of the deals.
Yeah.
So again, you're potentially looking, and we think the lease extension is going to come back at about 25. So you're potentially looking at there's 75, you know, £65,000 profit. And all I've done is gone and spoke to the different people I need to go and speak to. Obviously, I've read the lease, what's in the lease, understood about ground rent, you know, if there's covenants in there, what you can and can't do, etc., etc. So that's the first one. The second one was another property, which was in South Croydon, which is a 2-bedroom flat, again, a probate, but it's big enough to convert into a 3-bedroom flat. So there we know that we can add the value there. And again, it needs a decoration, new kitchen, new toilet, etc., etc. And this particular one had a short lease as well. And the estate agent, and this is what I'm telling you about, estate agents don't understand. So it's showing as a short lease. I think it was about 58 years. But I said, it doesn't make sense. When I'm looking at the title deed, the person that owns the short lease, the leaseholder, also has a share in the freehold. Well, hang on a minute. How does that marry up? So will this person that owns the lease, can't they grant themselves an extra lease? You know, and so what happened at that point, I went back to the executor and said, look, if you extend the lease, which will be a paper exercise, cost you a couple of £100, I will buy the property at whatever we agreed. And as I say, this property was up, I think, for about 235. I said, I will buy it for 235 if you get them to sign the lease for me. I know that that property, again, was worth about 290, but now I'm going to make it a 3-bedroom, so it's going to be worth a bit more on top of that. But I've got them to do the work for me because they didn't understand what was needed. And as I say, because you have a share in the freehold, I'm giving all the secrets away. Because she's got a share in the freehold, it is a lot cheaper. And in most cases, unless you've got sort of a management property agent in between it all that says, actually, we could earn a couple of grand in it, it's a paperwork exercise to extend it. Yeah. So I've actually got 2 deals like that. I've got another one that's going through like that at the moment. So we've got 2 of them in the pipeline. And then I've got another one, again, that's a short lease, but the person that's selling it had already gone to the freeholder company and had a lease extension given to them where they said 25k, we'll give you a new lease for 90 years, not adding it on like you would do with a section 42, etc., etc. We'll give you all that. And I said, will you sign the section 42 over to me? Because I don't want that piece of paper, because that piece of paper then gave me a ground rent of like £150 ground rent. And in a couple of years' time, I will have to go through the same process. So I'm saying, sign the section 42 over to me. I know they're going to want to do a deal anyway. Maybe my deal will be better. So again, that's another lease. I'm having the surveyor there again tomorrow to do that one. So that's kind of like the 4 short lease properties. But it's understanding and working around, you know, if there's a freehold and the lease extension is short, the estate agents are putting these up as cash purchase only. Absolutely. Now, if you work, and, you know, I've spoke to some of the mortgage brokers, there is deals like Barclays. They have a special project for short leases product, which will go down as 30 years, as long as the person buying it has a full-time employment, etc., etc., not just a limited company, or you're not just self-employed. So they have got, there is products out there with specialist lenders that people don't see on the high street. So if I had to wait 2 years, obviously my 25% of whatever I'm buying it for is going to be stuck in there, my deposit for the 2 years. But I can also get it on a different project, which will hold it for the 2 years and then add all the value in 2 years' time, if that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, makes perfect sense.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I've done with them for.
You've given us a crash course, and you've given us a lot of like tons of value here. You've spilt the secrets of what someone needs to do.
I know, you cut it all out.
Yeah. All this won't be going out. This will only be inside the academy. So you've understood the process, which most people don't know. So the vendors don't know or understand the lease extension process. The agents don't understand the lease extension process, so they think it's got to be a cash buyer anyway because there's limitations.
And I tell them I'm a cash buyer, even if I'm buying it on a bridge. Yeah. I'm telling them I'm a cash buyer, even if I know that I'm going to be going to get a mortgage. I'll tell them I'm a cash purchase. Yeah. Once I can do whatever it is, and some of them have asked for proof of funds, and because luckily enough I've had investors coming through, I've got proof of funds there to back me up now. Or I've done it in other ways where I've got someone else to show it, their money, to say, yeah, we can do it, just to close the deal, you know. But the problem is, you're finding is estate agents haven't got a clue about short leases, and they don't seem interested to understand them. And then you've got the sellers, people that are in selling probate properties where, you know, grandma's lived in this property for as long as everyone knows, and the, you know, the lease is ticked down and they just want to get rid of it. They just want the cash. They're not interested, you know. Or you've got, you know, there's this case I said about missing freeholders and stuff.
Yeah.
There's ways to deal with the problem. And I think the thing is with short leases, to everyone, it looks like it's a really big problem. And yeah, you've got to be careful because you're going to end up, and I do look at who the freeholders are, because, you know, there was one particular freeholder I will never buy nothing from, because they haven't made 64 million by being silly, you know. So whenever I see any of them and they're the freeholder, I'm like, I'm not even going to look at them. You want to look at smaller people and people that have only got one or two sort of freeholds, that kind of thing, not big companies. Yeah. And I check out the freeholder companies. So I do my background. I look on Companies House and check out everybody and do a bit of background research on who they are. I've even gone on LinkedIn and found out other leaseholders of the company, you know, the companies, and I've emailed them or emailed the freehold company and said direct, if I buy this property, you know, property, will you allow me to extend as an informal lease? So when I'm going to make my offer, I know that I'll be able to do the deal.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, so you know, you've done your homework as well. You've made sure you've got the right kind of you've got freeholders that are going to be willing to extend. They're not absent, and you're not going to have problems, because of course you don't want to be in a situation, especially on a bridge, where you're buying something, you're stuck on a bridge, and then you've got problems down the line. So you're preempting and making sure that before
what
you
my exit will be,
what your exit's going to be, that you can do the deal that you want to do, which is really, really smart. So you've carved out this wonderful niche and become somewhat of a short lease expert. I can see you putting these slides out and doing talks at property events pretty soon. So this is really cool.
So I give it all away though. Hey?
So you got four of these. You've got four of these short leases in the pipeline right now, and you've got another deal as well. So tell us about the other deal that you've got.
Okay, so what I started to do, and this is all about thinking outside the box and being creative, etc., etc. And actually, I had started to do writing to, you know, looking at planning, you know, scraping data, doing direct to vendors. Because I'm thinking, well, you know, you've got a lot of people to compete against on the market. So I started to write to refuse planning people in different boroughs, or, you know, people where you can see they've put the planning in so many times, or the property's been up for sale for so long, and just wrote directly. And I've started to get, you know, where I'm meeting now, direct to vendor vendors, which, you know, it might be a property I would never have looked at. But, you know, by opening that door, it's given me the opportunity to go and have a chat with people, and that's built my confidence as well, because I mightn't be able to buy their property, but it's given me the knowledge, because I have to go off and find out so that I can sit in a meeting and talk to someone and, you know, make them believe. I've got to believe that I know what I'm talking about. So there was that. This last deal was someone had put up on Facebook that they were looking to sell their property and didn't want to use a estate agent. They didn't like them. So, you know, and that again was a direct to vendor, in a way a direct to vendor, but obviously if anyone was on that property Facebook group, they could have gone to that person and spoke to that person as well. But, you know, I reached out and said, you know what, I'm interested in your property. It's near where I live. I grew up near there as well. Could I come and see your property? Obviously, then we got talking. Then I found out the address, etc. And again, I kind of looked at, well, what kind of deal can we do here, if any? So that was that. So what I did, we arranged the meeting, met the vendor, you know, found a bit about her background, you know, what was her reason for selling, you know, she'd been in the property for so long, she wanted to move on, etc., etc., and just get a bit more of an understanding of why she was selling. So it wasn't about, can I make a quick buck out of you? Because it's not always about that. You've got to understand the vendor, and they've got to trust you, I think. So a lot of that was building up the rapport. So we had the first meeting, we had a look around the property. Property was a little tired. You know, people have lived there for so long. They've got memories everywhere. My house is full up with everything everywhere, you know, God help if I've got to move. But, you know, and you could see it was a family home that's been very lived in, but you could also see the potential. So I then said, you know, I'm going to think about it. I'll come back to you about putting an offer in. So we built up the relationship then, where I'd spoke to her a couple of times. And then I said the following week, can I come back next weekend? Because I would like to make an offer, but I want to talk you through it. And what I actually did, instead of just going in, I found out all the properties that have sold in the area, all the properties that were sort of in that road or 2 roads around, so within 1/4 of a mile. I looked up and found the size of her property, square footage, what had sold within the last year or 2 and for how much, what was up for sale. And then I talked her through it. So obviously, like some of the properties that sold for like 550, whereas they're up for sale for 750. So, you know, I had to talk to the vendor and get them to understand that the estate agent will always tell you that it's worth X. And if you go to an estate agent and say it's worth 800, they'll go, fine, put it on. They don't care that you're going to be there 6 months, a year, whatever, until it gets painful for you and you've got to take the price down and make it to that price. So I didn't want to get into that with the vendor, and I explained what estate agents do and how they work. You know, obviously they want to get the best price because that's all down to their commission. So what I did was I showed property that had gone on and off market, property that had sold in the last year in and around 1/4 mile, same size as her property, and properties that were on for sale. And we talked through it. And then what I said was, what I actually want to do, I said, and I think it's a win-win for everyone, is I will pay for a private risk valuation, independent valuation. And if it comes back at 600, I'll pay that 650 or 550, whatever it is, that is what I will pay you, because I know that I can add the additional value, because it can have a loft put in it, it can have a redeck, it can have a new kitchen, new bathroom, it can be opened out an extension. And I know that I can add, you know, 200,000 worth, or, you know, to the property. And, you know, where the borough that it's in, it's a good borough. The council tax are low because it comes under Wandsworth. So, and it's near buses, it's in good, you know, good route for transport, etc. So I know that it's a win-win. That person, I'm not having to take 25% off, and, you know, they've got a small mortgage. They've been there 20 odd years. So, but they want to move on and be mortgage free, which is, you know, what I found. They wanted to downsize, etc., etc. So I found out what their reasons were and how can I help you, you know? They obviously knew that Dave is a builder because Dave was there and he was looking at it all. And we got talking about that. She said, if I found a property. So it's kind of helping not only for me to say, right, I would like to buy your property, but it's also, we will help you along the way as well, if we can help you. And you know, we've now built up that relationship. She's putting offers in, but she's coming back going, what do you think I can do? Can I put an extension? And we talk it through, and we're going through the process together. So it's not a case I'm just buying your house and leaving you over there. You know, she's bringing me auctions and saying, if we look at this, but then I'm reminding her auctions are going through the roof. You know, you've also got to look at, why has it gone into auction? You know, can you get everything done within a month? And just talking that person through it so that it becomes a win-win situation for us. She knows she wants to move on. She knows it's her time to move on. She's told us she wants to be mortgage free, and this is why she wants to move where she's moving to. And in the meantime, we also know our win is because we're going to do a refurb, and we're, you know, we've done HMOs and stuff, but we've kind of said, would we do this as a HMO, or would we keep it as a nice family home? Maybe this is the one we're going to flip, because up until now, everything we've said, we can't keep everything. So now we've got investors and stuff on board. Maybe this is the one that we flip, because we can get the most cash back out of it when we've done what we need to do. So that's kind of like the last one that we've got in. I've done other things like Gumtree ads, and I've never dreamed of doing anything like that, where I, you know, as you know, I had a lady that was ringing me every other day, dropping her price down. You know, she wanted to get rid of the property offered her different ways of doing things, refused to give her to even give her an offer because I knew that it wouldn't be what she wanted to hear.
Yeah.
You know, and I can still see that the property is still up for sale. Bide my time, give my time, you know, and I will go back and reach out again. So a lot of it is the long game, and I think that's it, is setting the systems in place, which I didn't kind of do before, and it's understanding, having your pipeline. So, you know, it's like, I think I said it to you, what am I going to do with all of these properties? I haven't got the money to do all of these. What the hell? What if they all come through at once? Especially because the solicitors have been so slow. But it's kind of like, you know, we talked it through, and it was like, you can do one, but while you're doing one, the others are going through the stages of the solicitors, you know, the searches, the whatever. So not everything's going to be all in one hit. And plus, in the meantime, I've been building up my bank of investors then as well.
Yeah. So you've done really amazing then. I mean, you've got this other deal now. One of the things that, as you were sharing about that deal with a lady, it's a complete solution. You're not just buying the property, but you're helping her out so she can move, and you're advising her, and you've built a really good relationship. You've really got a great understanding of her needs and her wants and her desires, and you're making that part of your process. It's like helping her to move forwards, because if she's got nowhere to move, she can't really move out of the house. So, you know, it's helping her, it's advising her, it's making sure she does the right kind of thing. And yeah, you've got these deals in the pipeline. And I remember when we had that conversation, you're like, oh, I've got these deals. What am I going to do? Well, let's just let's stagger the deals, get them through the pipeline at times to suit you, and then get your investors on board as well. So they're not all going to complete at the same time. They'll just go through the sausage machine, so to speak. And you're now in a position where you've got these 5 deals that you've got in with solicitors, and you've got these 2 joint venture partners. So talk us through the joint venture partners, because that was another learning curve for you as well, right? Because I remember having a conversation with you once where you go, oh, finding joint ventures, JV partners or investors is hard work. It was a stress for you at the time, yeah?
Oh, yeah. I don't know anyone with any money. I don't know anything that I can do. I don't know how I'm going to find anyone that will want to. Why would anyone want to lend me money? What do I know? And the thing is, we did meet up with a couple of people that had £1 million businesses, that had sold print businesses, etc. You've got to go there and talk to them and know your stuff and be that 100% confident with that person, that you know what you're talking about, because they've got to trust you. They've got to say, well, if I'm giving you 100 grand, how do I know that you're not going to fall apart, you know? But what we've done is we've, you know, made an investment pack that we'll show people. As I've said, I've used my own house as collateral, sort of, you know, as leverage against doing it. It's been all my own money up until now. You know, everything we've done has been either my own money or my own equity in my property or whatever. So we've not used other people's money. So now we're getting to the point where actually we can, because we've built up the expertise, and we've built up the business to prove what we do. You know, social proof of what we've actually done, because we've done it. So what I then started to do, we met a couple of people investing and talking to them. It didn't go, you know, we came away and I was disappointed because one of them said, oh, well, I've got my money tied up and we can't do blah, blah, blah. Then we met with somebody else who wanted us to invest for them. So they wanted us to find the deal, do all the work, project manage it, and basically give it to them. And they had found people that wanted to do that up north. And, you know, and I was like, well, why are you looking for these deals up north when there could be something over the road in Croydon or wherever locally? So obviously we met and had a couple of conversations, and they said, oh, well, we were going to go to Newcastle and we were told this, and, you know, I need £3 a month to live on because we're retiring, we've got this pot of gold, this is our pot of money here, our pension, blah, blah, blah. And it was unrealistic. I can't help you. I said, for me and Dave to have you know, a cash flow of say £3,000 a month. It was bloody hard work, and we didn't do it on one deal, you know. We did it, it took a lot more, you know, a few more deals and hard work to do it. So why would I be doing it for someone else, you know?
Yeah.
So then what happened, obviously we had the conversations, why are you going up north? And I said, do you actually want to buy property, you know, or is it the income you're looking for to drip feed what you know, your lifestyle, to pay your bills, to do whatever, now that you've both retired? So then they asked me to look at some properties because they still wanted to go down that route. And instead of saying, well, no, because I wanted you as my investor, I kind of said, okay, we can still make this work, because at the end of the day, we can still project manage it. We'll earn some money that way. We can still find the deal. So, you know, sourcing the deal, we'll still earn some money that way. So instead of just cutting our nose off, we just went, why don't we do that? So then what I did was I spent a day, I think it was about a day, and I found them a couple of deals, sent it over, and then I didn't hear anything. And I was just like, well, that was a bloody waste of time. Why are people wasting my time? And, you know, and then it was, they came back afterwards and said, well, actually, you know what? Sorry, we're not messing you about. We do want to do something. We feel, you know, we bought properties before. We've ended up losing money. We've done what we've done. Actually, we'd just like to do a loan agreement with you. And this is the pot we've got. We've got 100 grand. Have it. You do what you need to do. What rate will you give us if, you know, we work alongside you as an investor, and what return can we have? And that's kind of how it started to roll with that particular person. Having conversations with other people, you know, people we don't even know that's got money. And I won't say because they're my friends, so they're probably going to be watching this at some point. But, you know, people you didn't know had money, but they're not in property. So they don't understand property, or they have no interest in property, but they've got this cash pot. Now, this particular person has bills that they've got to pay. They've got ex-partners, whatever they've got. And it's kind of like they needed money done. You know, they've got this cash that could be sitting in the bank. It's not earning them a lot. Well, actually, if you invested with us, we could pay you a monthly return of your investment. And at that point, at the end of the year, we can give you your money back, or you can roll it in and, you know, and go again. But we can be drip feeding you some money, which will help with your lifestyles and help with your every monthly bill, whatever you need to do. So that's kind of the second one. We've also got other people now that we're talking to. So it's slowly starting to trickle in. So where I've now got my 5 deals, I know that I can do 2 or 3 of them now, you know, because I have got the cash flow coming in. I got my home that I can use as the leverage, as I've done before. So by the time the other ones have trickled through the system, as in with the solicitors, etc., these ones will be done and finished, so I can recycle and bring my money back to use for the next ones. Absolutely. And that's kind of the process we want to go down now.
Absolutely. So you've got like, you know, I've said it in some of the trainings that we've done the forum, you get your deal flow sorted out, your investor flow sorted out, and that's when you start to build momentum. So, you know, one spits out the sausage machine, so to speak, out the pipeline, you complete on it, you refinance it, get your money back out, and you just feed it back in again. And you don't need that many. I mean, to do half a dozen deals at a time and have them in your pipeline, a bit of your own cash, or, you know, some investor cash, and you know, they keep recycling. Normally, once you've paid them back, you go, great. They go, well, do you want to take the money back again, do the next deal? And then you just take it back and you keep recycling it. And that's how you get it.
And we've kind of done, you know, with Mr. Freeholder, as you know, we've done stuff with him where he's done us a loan agreement. We've paid him back the loan, and then he's gone, okay, just leave it in for another year. I've got nothing to do with it because he's like in his 70s. So, you know, just give me the interest. So fine. I'm working with someone else who they're a developer as well. So, and I know that in the future they'll probably work with us because I'm now doing stuff for them. So sorting out their paperwork to get HMOs, making sure they meet the requirements, talking to, I don't know, fire alarm people or whatever it is. But by doing different things in property for different people as like a consultant, you know, I will do your admin and do this, that, and the other. I'm building up the relationship with lots of other people that at some point I might be able to tap in, or I might not, but they might be able to tap me into someone else, you know, and say, well, Maura and Dave are doing this. would you be interested in what they're doing? And one of our investors have already said, I think I know someone else that might be interested. Let's see how it goes with you guys first before I'd recommend you to anyone else. And that's probably what it is. We're not just doing one thing, we're doing a couple of different things from all different angles. And we're building up that social proof and trust with everyone that we deal with.
It's amazing. You really are. So you've got, you're building relationships up. You got the social proof. I know you're putting stuff out on social media as well, on videos. I know I've had to nudge you to get your video stuff done, but you're doing that now. And you also, since being in the academy, you've learned some advanced marketing stuff, and you've built out a funnel as well. You're doing, you're putting people into your funnel, so to speak. So you've got this really nice, you're in this really lovely sweet spot, half a dozen deals or so. I know you've got 5 deals, but I like half a dozen deals in the pipeline and the right amount of investors, because the timing is like you can just get them through and keep recycling them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was just thinking for a second, why do I like 6 deals? Well, depends on how long it takes you to get through, but like 6 months. Do you know what I mean? If you can pull them all through and get them through, you can turn them around quite quickly, which is.
And that's the thing with some of the short leases and flats. The first one we did, we turned the flat round in 6 weeks. So if we can sort the lease out and everything, and a minimum of time you can have a bridge is 3 months. You could be turning that round in 3 months and then pulling the money out and getting on to the next
Absolutely.
one. And, Dave loves the HMOs. They take too long in my head. I prefer I like the short lease ones that are less work, but there's a quicker turnover. But obviously with the HMOs, I do like the HMOs because of the cash flow. So it's kind of like now we like the short, quick ones, but we also like the longer ones because over time we'll get more back when we're refinancing, and we also, we see a bigger return then, and we see a bigger return on our monthly rental cash flow. So,
that's pretty amazing. So when you've got these other 5 deals, well, you've got 5 deals here. I think the last one you're going to flip on, but with the ones that you're going to hold, what sort of additional cash flow is that going to bring you in on a monthly basis on top of what because you got 60, I think, from the previous 4, this other 4 that you're going to keep, which are the short leases, what additional cash flow, just a rough figure of what that's going to bring you in?
I suppose we're looking at about 5-6 grand a month. It'll probably bring us in again. So similar to what we had before. Yeah.
So you're going to go 5-6 grand a month. So your total income is going to be around 120K?
Yeah.
Wow. Like 120, and that's after your mortgages, right? So it's 120K income.
Yeah.
That you're then going to be earning 6 figures in terms of rental income from what would be essentially 8 properties.
Yeah.
That is smart, and that's really efficient. And the thing is, it just goes to show you don't need that many properties. I remember going to one of the very first property networking events I went to, and I was quite new at the time. I think I only had like 3 or 4 properties, and a guy came up to me. It was a standard, peeing contest. How big's your manhood? How many properties have you got? And I was like, 3. And of course, you asked the question, how many have you got? I've got 51. I'm like, oh, okay. So it was this kind of boasting competition. But then I found out all these properties were up north. They only make £50 a month each. And I thought, well, how does that work? I got to the point where I got to 6 figures with my portfolio, and it was 12. I had 12. No, I didn't have any HMOs, but with 12 properties, it was about 100, just shy of 120K as well. And what was I doing? Finding stuff, buying below market value, increasing the number of rooms and things, so we can value engineer to increase the rental income, converting garages, utilizing space to get more bedrooms. So what you're doing here is smart. It's very smart in terms of the strategy. It's very unique. You've carved out this lovely niche. You're leveraging the main residents. You're leveraging private investors, but you also like cash flowing. You've got some HMOs, you've got a mini-mo, and you've got some other properties that are going to bring you like 8 properties that are going to give you 120 grand a year income. That's pretty damn amazing.
Yeah.
So with that, it gives you I'm guessing, like, for most people, they got to 120 grand a year income. That's quite comfortable. You could retire off that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But she's nodding her head because I know she's not going to stop there. You guys have got some bigger plans. I know you're going to build some houses and stuff like that, but isn't that amazing? And you've got to that point, which is really, really lovely.
And that's it as well. We've had the confidence now, or we've grown where, you know, I think I said it to you, I started approaching local authorities, I
Yes.
spoke to different people, and people I wouldn't dream of, you know, speaking with local authorities saying, actually, I found this bit of land that you own, and this is what I want to do on it. I would never have dreamed of writing to a council and telling them that before. But, you know, the lady's on holiday till next week, so we'll see what she says. But, you know, it's kind of like setting up the meetings, and actually, before I would have put a barrier there and said, I can't go and talk to X. I can't go and talk to the, I don't know, empty homes officer or the head of housing or whoever, or the, you know, the provider or a housing association. Why can't I? And I think that's what's changed in my head. You know, what can they say? No. Oh, well.
You really gone to like a can-do attitude and mindset, and like you've got this unshakable self-belief around what you can do now, which is amazing. It's like really flipped itself on its like head, so to speak. So you've gone out and you've done the work. You've done the work in terms of the practical things, but you've also done the inner work. And, you know, we've got a saying, it's do the work, level up and reach excellence. You've reached, you know, a level of excellence in your property business, but also personally as well. So, you know, I'm kind of sitting here smiling away, because this is why I do what I do. Like, just seeing what you've done, the transformation you've gone through, and you've gone through some lows as well. You've gone through some tough times, as we mentioned earlier on. You like hit rock bottom at one point, you know, but you came out of that, you bounced back, you've had this huge awakening. Like you said, you woke up, and you're now that just out there, you're just doing it.
And it's the exact same for Dave as well, because obviously Dave does all the building side. And in the beginning, I was on his case all the time because I was scared about the money, you know, because you're always being told that this amount of money is a lot of money. Don't get me wrong, it is. And I was, you know, doing from a 1-bedroom flat to doing this HMO. I'm thinking, shit, if we mess this up, I lose my home, I lose 100 and something grand. But now it's like I trust Dave and I trust his team to go and do what they need to do. And he has leveled up as well. You know, he's expanding. He's now doing lots of extensions and having 3 or 4 jobs on the go, which he wasn't doing 2-3 years ago. So for both of us, it's really lifted us up. And for Dave, he's now starting to speak to people that are developers, you know, investors. He went off to golf the other day, and so now he's speaking to people who want to do converting of shops into flats and stuff like that. So he's doing his own growing as well. But because of what we've done sort of together, we've been able to bounce off each other to do it, but we've both grown in it as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's really amazing. So you've become like a real power couple then, you know, the two of you, you know, you're great in terms of business partners, but also your life partners as well. And, you know, you got kind of dreams and aspirations about what you want to do, which is why you're shaking your head when I was saying you could retire off that. You're like, nah, I'm not doing that. Why should we?
It's not about money. The thing with me and Dave, it isn't about the money. It is actually about the challenge. And I think in the beginning, me and him were like, we're going to prove all these people, you know, wrong. We can do this, and we're not, you know, stupid people. And we're not this, you know, the laughers. And, you know, people would see me, and they did see Dave as a laugh, as a joke. Oh, you know, Maura, she's always smiling and joking and this, that. Yeah, I am. Sometimes I was laughing because it's nerves, but everyone would all see me or Dave smiling, and they didn't actually know that we could go off and do this. So it was a big, you know, watch us, and, you know, we'll show you what we can do. So it was a big eye opener to everyone else, but it's not about the money, it's about the challenge. You know, Dave will look at a property, and I don't know how he does it, but he looks at a property and he will say, you can do X, Y, and Z. And I'll go, no, I don't think you can get 2 rooms in that. No, you can. And that's even before they've drawn it. He's got that vision that he can see. And he's right, you know, and he's been able, and for him, it's the challenge that he stands back and goes, I did that. And we both do it. We did that, you know.
Amazing.
And before, we never had the chance. But together, we've given each other the chance to both of us level up.
It's amazing. So just to sum up, what's been the biggest difference that's made the difference for you? Because you've gone on quite a journey here.
I know, in about a year. Because it all started in about sort of the middle of 2018. But I do think it's about mindset for us. It has been about the mindset and the belief and believing in ourselves. So it is getting rid of that imposter syndrome. It is getting rid of, I can't do it, or you know, I might go back and work 9 to 5 because that's what I've always done. And you know, I don't spend half as much money as I used to when I go to work, but you know what, I don't care. I'm at home. You know, if I want to go to bed at lunchtime and have a nap, I can. Or if I don't want to work all day, I can. So it's like living it now on my terms, but we're enjoying it. So it doesn't actually feel like work. If that
it makes perfect sense. And isn't that lovely? You're living life on your terms, doing what you love, doing what you're passionate about, enjoying the challenges. Amazing. Amazing. If there's someone watching this video that was unsure of like what to do, or whether they should get involved in property, or whether they should come to the academy or not, what bit of advice would you give them?
Just talk to anybody that's in the community, or come and talk to me. If you want to know about, I could talk all day long about property, as you know.
Yeah.
and I'll just you know, boggle you with everything that I've kind of known. And I've become this, Dave laughs, he says, you're a sponge. Whatever you're reading, you're just taking everything in. Your brain does not switch off. Go to sleep. Because I am always thinking about the next thing. So, but, you know, talk to any of us that are in the community.
It's amazing. Maura, thank you so much. It's such an inspiring story. I think people watching this are going to be inspired. They're going to be, you know, they're going to learn a lot from your journey. They're going to learn a lot about short leases, because you've really explained how to do it. I think they're also going to be inspired by what you've achieved and how you've shifted and grown personally as well. It's going to give people hope and inspiration as to what they can do. So thank you so much for coming in and doing this. This has been a really cool, fun featured member interview. And I guess if people want to contact you, they can contact you through social media. What's the best way to contact you?
Yeah, you can contact me. I'm on I'm at Maura PM Renovation, so you can see me there. You can see it there on the screen. Or if you DM me, I'm on Instagram as well, or Facebook. So yeah, you'll find me. If you want to speak to Maura, everywhere talking property.
If you want to speak to Maura and Dave, go and get in touch with them. Yeah. Maura, thank you so much for being this. It's been super fun. And for everyone watching, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks, Hector. Thanks.